Talk about the struggles you have working on your car. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the struggles you have working on your cars. And I'm going to start off with the suspension. We did all the suspension, front, rear, the control arms, shocks, springs. It's got a new manual rack, even the manual rack's done. The struggles I have with starting the back is mainly just getting the old bolts out of the sleeve. What it is, with it being so old, the bolt rusted inside the sleeve and it would just turn. And lucky enough on the rear, I just hit a hammer or a sledgehammer and then just keep at it, and you finally get it out. It takes time. And I did one side at a time. Like I would do the passenger side, I would do the lower control arms first and leave the uppers on, and then try to keep the rear end square. It does move a little bit, so you're gonna have to do a little kicking when you're putting it on there. But the back wasn't as bad as the front. The front control arms is same problem. The bolts got rusted into the sleeve, and had to use a grinder with a cutoff wheel and grind them all out on the driver's side and passenger side. And that was the job right there, just cutting them all out, and and then cleaning everything up and painting it, trying to make it look new again, and then trying to put everything back on. It seemed like the front fought on everything. Putting new control arms on, you got the spring, and it's more tension putting them in there. Our buddy Mitch helped me put them on there. He's done it before, and he was a big help, and that helped out a lot. And then we put the manual rack on. It just seemed like it fought us. It wouldn't line up right. We spent some time trying to get that thing on there. But we got it. But those are the struggles for the suspension. And the next will be the electrical. Yes, one of the issues I had on the Mustang, it was like 2 years I was struggling with this problem. And what the problem is when you were driving it, and it would just shut off. I mean, no power. It would just completely just die. And you pull over, and about 5 minutes later, it would start back up. And it wouldn't do it all the time, maybe like once a month. And it took 2 years to figure out what the problem was. And I went through basically 80% of the wiring in this car, replacing some of the wires that were kind of frayed. It's old, and just replace section at a time. Yeah, you can see like here, replace part of this, the ignition, and that's for my MSD box. I went through the MSD wiring, some of the grounds, and yeah, just started replacing wire. And then it still did it. And then replaced the fuel tank, new pump, because it's a carburetor. It used to be fuel injection. When I got it, it was switched over to carburetor. But the fuel pump was hardwired to the ignition into the battery with no relay. And me looking up online, and other guys did it, where you can tie in to the fuel pump with your, the original harness. And so you can run the relay that's underneath the seat, like it was factory. You just had to ground a couple wire underneath the dash that was for the computer, a wire that was used for the computer, but it doesn't have the computer anymore. So I did that and figured I'd fix the problem, and still did it. I replaced the fuel lines, went with aluminum. You can see it. There's the regulator, and yeah, it has all new fuel lines, fuel pump, fuel tank. Made sure the ground wires for the fuel pump were good in the back. And then I ended up replacing the positive. I made this. Got some cable from a friend of mine, so I made that cable. And it was still doing it, shutting off as you were driving. And it seemed like it was getting worse. So it was getting worse, where it was shutting down, almost every time I took it for a drive. And then finally, it ended up shutting down, breaking down in the driveway. Yeah, I know, it's a Ford. Go ahead, write it down. So, and I was able to have the kid, turn the key, the ignition, and I went through all the grounds and found the problem. And it was a ground. And it was the ground negative from the battery going to the block right here. That was it. This bolt was too short, and what it was doing by vibration and that, it would lose contact. and that was the whole problem. So I ended up replacing the bolt, got a longer bolt, and then what I did is I made a new cable for the negative, and then I added another one here going to the frame. So now I got two, and the problem cleared up. Took 2 years to figure it out. That was a bad ground. Crazy. That drove me nuts for 2 years. And then you know, other stuff and other problems I had is when I did the brake lines, replaced all the brake lines and the hoses. This master cylinder was leaking, so I went to replace that. I broke the bolts, trying to get the bolts off, snap the bolts. Well, then I had to buy a new booster, and then crawling underneath there under the dash, man, that took a few hours just to get the bolts off and on for the booster. But in the long run, it's worth it. It's getting there. You end up just sweat and tears. It's getting there. But keep working on it. And those, you know, that's the electrical issues are just, man, what a pain. But good thing for the internet, it does help you. And then plus the headlights didn't work at night, and I had to replace the harness. It goes in the ignition, and end up replacing the ignition switch and the harness for the ignition switch too, because all the wires are bad and the plastic for the harness was broke. So I ended up doing that. So hopefully I am done with electrical, but who knows. I got and installed the electric fan. That's on a relay. I still got to clean up some of the wiring a little bit. But this is my project for the last few years. I like it. I enjoy working on it. So hopefully you guys like it. But that's some of the issues that I had with it. The car's not perfect. I have some body work that I need to do. This lip right here needs to be cut out and replaced, in which I have a new part to replace it with. But and then I got a spot right here. Just need to clean that, paint it. But I got to get all the other stuff done before I start to worry about body work and painting it. If I did the body work, I was thinking about maybe wrapping it. I don't know. Or doing that plastic dip. And you can just change the color. That's what the front end is, the plastic dip. So it comes out pretty good. What's nice about it, you can just get a spot, you just touch. Another thing, I'm going to talk about it, might as well. On the rebuild, it's a 302. It's bored over 30, so it's 306 now. I got Dart Pro heads on there. They're poured and polished. Got a cop cam in there. I'm at like a 598 lift, so it's pretty good. And then I got the Emmer Block Victor Jr. intake. I'm running a 750 carburetor, Proform racing, no choke. And then I believe the heads are just some, I think they're Ford racing heads. They're old. The one's leaking. I believe the driver's side's got a little leak. Yeah, and that's cylinder heads were done. And actually, it was easier putting the cam in and the cylinder heads and everything else than the suspension. Man, the suspension work is just, what a pain. You know, and I got the new caster plates with the suspension. So, I mean, a lot of the parts on this car is new. I mean, except for the body. The interior's new, the seats. The guy I bought it from, he had the interior done. Actually, he's the one that had the short block rebuilt. This guy I bought it from, Wayne. It had different cylinder heads and this and that, and I drove it for a year like that when I could, and then end up upgrading. You know, the cylinder heads a deal came, couldn't pass up. So, but she runs pretty good. And then I end up getting the wheels. Like to get some ET streets for the rear one of these days, maybe this summer. First I gotta take care of that transmission. So I know a lot of the guys, the Mopar guys, might not like the Mustangs, but I like it. There's my tag. I'll show you inside a little bit. I don't have many videos on this. And then got my switches. So yeah, mainly a lot of electrical issues with this stupid thing. I still got to go over some more of the electrical. I like to go through electrical on the dash because some of the computer wiring is still there. I'm going to probably leave it just in case. You never know. Because this can be converted back over to fuel injection. I think I get a little bit better performance out of that carburetor because that cam is matched up to have a carb, and then the gear in the rear end is 410. It pulls pretty hard. And that's it. You can see the interior. The seats are nice. Got the back. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Keep on messing with it. Future plans for it, I would like to go with a 351 and maybe turbo. I got some friends that run that combo. Man, they move. I mean, these things are light. So I got a few more things to do underneath the car. Clean it, some more painting. Got a couple of small holes on the floor pans that I gotta patch up. So that's about it, guys. So I hope you like it. Hope you like the video. You know, watch our other videos on the other cars, the Charger RT, the Corvette, detailing stuff, whatever. Keep checking them out. I appreciate it. Hopefully I hope you guys liked this video and like the Mustang. Look at that. Look how easy it is to work on it. You know, the Charger, it's got a lot. All that computer stuff. All right, you guys have a good one.